Hi, this is CIPR TV and I'm Philip Sheldrake. I'm speaking today with Carla Buzasi, Editor-in-Chief of the Huffington Post UK. And Carla's also going to be joining the CIPR at the Social Media Conference on the 14th of November 2011. Hi Carla.
Hello.
For joining us.
My pleasure.
So, describe the role. What's your responsibility as Editor-in-Chief in the UK?
So I'm overseeing all my editors. I've got 16 editors in the team now, with the 17th arriving in December. So overseeing what they're doing, but also acting as the face. Obviously, Arianna Huffington is the face of this brand globally. She can't be in the UK very often. So I'm out there trying to drum up new viewers for the site, new fans for the Huffington Post, and making sure everyone knows what we're all about.
So Huffington Post started in the US in 2005?
2005,
and
yes.
the UK launched this year?
Yes.
So what's the genesis for that?
So it was July the 6th, it launched here, and sort of working back from there. Phenomenally successful site in the US. It's the most linked to blog on the internet. I think it's probably the most read news site in the US now. AOL bought the Huffington Post at the beginning of this year and decided to launch it in a number of other countries. Canada came first, and then UK followed a few months after that.
So you still refer to it as a blog?
Well, the blog is a very important part of it, and in 2005 that was the vision for it. It was a group blog. Now it's a news site, or the internet newspaper as we like to see ourselves. It's a news site with blogs a very, very important part of that.
So I tweeted last night and said, did anybody have any questions for you? And the first question I have is from an Ian Thompson.
Okay.
And he's going to level a question at you that you'll have heard since Huffington Post formed in 2005, which is quality journalism or a content farm?
Definitely.
Content farm not being a complimentary phrase.
Definitely quality journalism. I have hired some really, really good editors, even if I do say so myself. I'm going to take some of the credit for that. No, we've got a fantastic team of editors, big experience at BBC, CNN, Al Jazeera, Daily Mail, great journalists, and they are charged with creating brilliant original journalism day in, day out. But we support that with opinions from 1,500 bloggers we've got in the UK now. It's about 24,000 in the US, so we've still got a little way to go. But in 3 months, we've got 1,500 people who are contributing regularly to the site, and they're saying what their opinion on the news is. And I think that balancing out, that's what makes the Huffington Post unique in comparison to all the other newspaper websites out there.
So what do you think? How would you define your reason for being? Why does the Huffington Post UK exist?
Because I think there's a place online for a different opinion. All the newspapers in this country are very politically aligned one way or another. And the people who read them have probably been reading those papers day in, day out.
And you're not liberal-leaning?
We're not liberal-leaning. We're trying to be very, very...
It says in the Wikipedia entry that you're liberal-leaning.
Oh, well, I think that in the US that's perhaps the impression that it's gone. And that's definitely how it started. But look at the US site now as well. I mean, Arianna herself has been very critical of Obama. And I think what was very important for us is that we were able to support either party, criticise either party, and support issues that we felt were important to the country. And that doesn't mean that we need to be aligned to one party or another. So
that's your differentiation. We have another tweet coming from Mary Pollard asking you, who do you see your competition as in the UK?
I think that there's different ways you can look at it. From a newspaper angle, from a news angle, we want to be seen as important as The Guardian, The Telegraph, The Independent. We want people to believe that we are a place to come for quality journalism. From a blog site, I mean, you know, the UK's got thousands, millions of different blogs popping up, especially at the moment, and certainly in the political sphere, they're becoming much better. There are more of them and they're getting more and more users. But I think what makes us unique is that we're the only place where you get both of that. So yes, you've got Comment is Free on The Guardian, which is a fantastic blogging site, but it's very specific to people who support The Guardian, and it's mainly journalists who are blogging. Whereas on the Huffington Post, you've got normal people. You can blog, I can blog, my mum blogs, my sister blogs, but David Cameron blogs as well. And it's that mix of famous names, celebrities, MPs, and normal people on the street who want to give their opinion on the big news articles of the day.
And so what does your mum blog about?
She's a teacher. So she blogs about education, anonymously, I would say. She look for a photograph of a teacher with a hat and sunglasses on. That's my mum.
We had a tweet in last night from Stuart Bruce, who asks about the viability of recycled content, given the more heterogeneous media environment in the UK. Because in the US, we know that the dailies are just collapsing in on themselves. There are many cities now with not even one daily newspaper that's viable. In the UK, journalism still just about pays, and we've got lots of good quality broadsheets out there. How are you going to compete?
I think we've got a fantastic sales team. We've got AOL sales force behind us, and that's really important. We've got people who understand the digital sphere. I can go into I can give you the sales pitch if you want, but I will keep it very, very short. We have something called Devil, which is a unique ad format, which gives 100% share of voice on the page. Very interactive ad format that AOL launched last year. That's available on Huffington Post internationally and has been really, really successful. And that's certainly our launch advertising partners love that. But also we do things like sponsored blogs, sponsored comments. So we're allowing companies to come and have their CEOs to have a say on our site. It's very clearly labelled that this is coming from someone who's paying, but they get to be on our site and get their opinion across, straight from the horse's mouth, as it were. And that's something that advertisers in this country are very excited about.
So I was part of a contingent in 2001 that hosted a group from MIT coming over to London to talk about this new thing called blogging.
Yes.
And we had blogging, and it was from people who wanted a voice that social media lends them.
Yes.
And then you had quality journalism. And are you saying that you found the best of both worlds in Huffington Post?
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. We're bringing the two together. So our blogs sit in the left-hand side of our site, so you know where it's coming from, very clearly labelled that these are individuals blogging, where they're from, who they are. And then middle of the site, right-hand rail of the site, that's where you get the journalism. We do some aggregation as well, so we are very open about this. If someone's got a fantastic story that we think our users would be interested in, we link straight out to it. When the hacking scandal broke, this was the Guardian story, so we linked out to the Guardian left, right and centre for readers to get their take on it. And then we had a live blog running on our site as news came in, and we were compiling all the tweets that people were talking about, and we were then going and interviewing other people about what their opinion was it. But this was the Guardian story, and therefore we should be sending our readers to read their take on it.
So how do the contributors feel when the founders walk off with a cheque for 300 million? How does that change the ethos and philosophy for their eagerness to participate going forward?
Well, as I said, 1,500 bloggers in less than 3 months. So we don't seem to have a problem with people blogging on the site. I think there's been some confusion about it. This is a platform for people to have opinion. This is just the same as Twitter. This is just the same as Facebook. But you're doing it in an area where you know people are coming to read something rather than just very, very short tweets. So we don't pay people to blog, but we don't commission them to blog either. You blog as frequently or as infrequently as you want to. And I think what certainly the MPs like is they're getting a chance to get their full opinion across rather than in an interview situation. And what you then find is one will blog, but then one perhaps from another party will come back and do a counter blog to get their argument across. They're not asking for money because this is just a great place for them to speak to millions of people about what's important to them.
Well, congratulations on getting the editor-in-chief position.
Thank you.
Where do you see Huffington Post in 3 years from now?
I want
Huffington Post UK.
Huffington Post UK. Well, I'm quite happy if Huffington Post globally is the first destination people go for news. I want this to be part of people's daily routine. You get to the office, you turn on your computer, and Huffington Post is the first place you go to get the news of the day. In fact, scrap that. I don't want them to do it when they get to the office. I want them to do it on the train into the office. I want them to be on their iPad or on their BlackBerry, on their smartphone, and coming to us for news. And everyone blogging as well, that would be good too.
Carla, thanks very much for joining us today. Much appreciated.
My pleasure.